This is the 6th day of this March 1982 7-day sesshin. And we will continue reading from Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind by Shunryu Suzuki. Before going on with the next chapter, it is not the next one in sequence, with another chapter, let's say a few words about judgment. Because it comes up all the time with most of us. Either you verbalize it, say something about it in Dokusan, or you don't, but it still comes up. Before maybe going farther back into our history, right, this very structure in which we're working maybe makes it difficult not to work, or to be confronted with feeling judged by others, particularly the teacher, and as it happens, the Zendo assistants. Because we sit facing with our backs toward what's going on, toward the aisle where people walk up and down. One doesn't see, and one of the ways we work is with our eyes half closed. We don't look up. So we don't really look into people's faces and eyes, which gives the opportunity for hosts of ideas to come into the mind, what people think about one, how they look at one. Because one doesn't verify it, which doesn't mean that if one did look, one would not also project. So one sits here really very vulnerably. It's an incredible way of sitting for 7 days with one's back to one knows not what. And coming into the Dokusan room, some people look at me, others don't. And the feeling holds with many people when I come in here, are you judging me? Are you looking for something when I come in? Which means, is there a hope? This is not, you're laughing, but for some people it's very serious. Do you hope for something in me that I may be disappointing? Time and time again? Do you expect something of me? How can I convey to you that I don't? I can't afford to. It's enough work to just sit there and look. And to be with you, because who's coming in is me too. Which doesn't mean that I'm perfect or that the ZAs are perfect. Please grant us our humanity. One person said, and he was doubting it, but he still expressed a strong feeling that if he happens to sit near a ZA, that ZA during mealtime is watching him. Whether he's doing things right. Maybe he's scraping his bowl properly or something. He didn't say that, but these things are there, and there was a lot of emphasis laid upon this in former time. I wonder whether I'm speaking for John and Kevin in saying that they don't watch you. And when things are said before a meal, can one attend to straightening cushions and mat? What are the hands doing when they smooth over this cloth? I don't say be sure to smooth it properly. And I'm not saying that. You may think I do, and you may try to do it well, because that's your habit. The habit is to do things so one is approved of, or to rebel against it, and to face with rebellion the disapproval, or with whatever. All that is said is, can one attend? And attend also to all these feelings that come up, and obviously from what people say they are attending to judgments that come up, and this unquenchable thirst for approval. It's unquenchable. We were judged, most of us, before we were even born. My mother wanted a son. Many mothers want sons for some reason or other. And if they have a son and then a girl, they may say, oh, it's so much easier to be with this girl. He's so this, or he's a monster. Or the other way around, judging, comparing. Sometimes benevolently, not meaning. It's habitual. One has heard it all the time. But the kids hear it, the little children hear it for the first time. And it becomes an imprint. How often do parents, maybe they don't say this anymore nowadays, but oh, kids. Oh. I could only just be rid of them. I used to hear this a lot among people, suburbia, where the women are professionals, career women. And the kids are an honest-to-goodness burden, and one says it right in front of the children. Thinking, oh, they don't understand, they'll forget. But they don't. As though the kids are the burden to the parents, forgetting the burden that the parents are to the children, not seeing it. So we grow up, judged, complained about, expectations to do well in school. Many parents say, I don't care what grade he brings, but they do look eagerly at that report card. And when there's a good grade, there's a smile on the face. And the child doesn't need words, it picks up gestures. And a poor grade, an F, can be absolutely annihilating to a child. Our son lost interest in school in 4th grade when, being a slow, meticulous person and not being able to do 20 problems at a time but doing 4 of them correctly, he received an F because 16 were not there. So it's minus 16 is F. That was the end of it. There's sort of hopelessness and well, there were other factors, but the judging, the grading, the pushing. In 4th grade, in that school, kids were already told, in college, you will have to work faster or get this done. Wait till you're in college. And then talking to the teacher about it, she says, well, I have 2 kids in college and I can see if only the teacher in 4th grade had pushed them a little bit more. Do you see the need for different kind of schools? Where grading is not just suppressed by a teacher who would like to grade, but where the teacher sees the utter stupidity of it, the danger of it, the consequences of it. So how does one walk away from this stuff? It's not easy, because it's heavily ingrained. But it's not impossible. It must be seen, and it must be tested, and please bring it up, as some of you have done, if it is a real obstacle, so we can talk about it. But talking alone is not enough. There must be seeing. That what one concerned with is one's image. And an image one has of this person one calls a teacher. And the assistants, and the neighbors left and right. Are they all images? Which one compares? And why do we clutch these images? It is because we think this is the live thing about us, but it's exactly the dead thing about us. We work so hard to build up this image so people will like us, or at least not be mad at us. Or we have other kind of images too. But people do say hurtful things or do inconsiderate things. So how does one meet that? With the image or directly? Feel the hurt. And test what was it that was hurt, other than the image of myself, which I'm trying to maintain for others and for myself. And that's what's in the way. It's the blur, the film, the screen. The barrier to something which, if we don't misuse the word, we call love. Love which knows no images. And establishes no images. In religion, particularly if we've grown up in the West, Christian type of upbringing, there is the judgment day, the last judgment. The sinner is separated from the saint or from the good guy, and damnation. We today may not put much stock in this anymore, but it may also have been ingrained into maybe in our bloodstream, this fear of the final judgment. Always coming from the outside. Some authority figure judging us, condemning us, or approving us. And sometimes we think we can placate that judge by pretending we're nice. Human beings put up such pretense of niceness and politeness, which is only a facade. It's such a waste. Underneath, anger and resentment simmers, and one is not in touch with it. One is a split human being. That too, because when one was in rage as a little child, it was condemned, it was punished, because it was too upsetting to a parent who had successfully once repressed his or her anger as a child. Right now there is quite a freedom to be angry at the child. But one doesn't quite consider this anger as a sort of righteous anger or some such thing. Can one see the whole situation and see a child's anger and rage? Child does not have many avenues of expression, and has a tremendous amount of vitality. That scares the adult, because it brings up a host of fears that were repressed, punished when one was at that age. Can that be faced? So what is unconscious and distorting comes into the light of awareness, even though it's painful. It's the only way to change. It's the only way in which change does take place on its own. Out of the clarity of seeing, of insight and understanding. Which has no room for judging. Judging meaning this is bad and this is good. This I like, this I don't like. One doesn't discern often between what is judgment and what is a factual situation. What is fact about me? There's anger, there's jealousy. Oh, this person is really angry. Does it mean that I'm judging this person because I see the anger? Why does it need judgment? The facts speak for themselves. It's a very wasteful and harmful, detrimental thing. Is that judging or is this factual? But if I say I don't want to ever see you again, I don't want to be in touch with you, I don't want your vibrations around me or something like this. Then I need to look into myself, into my own fears. This chapter in Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind, is called Right Effort. Question comes up a lot about what is effort, because so much is talked about not pushing with a lot of motives, or it's not so much say don't push, but observe it, question the motive, see it come up and question the whole thing. The sentence says, if your practice is good, you may become proud of it. What you do is good, but something more is added to it. Pride is extra. Right effort is to get rid of something extra. The most important point in our practice is to have right or perfect effort. I would guard against the word perfect because of its associations, of wanting to become perfect, to reach perfection. It's always a very, very distant goal which splits us from the goal because we're imperfect. Right effort. In one of the books written by Lama Govinda, who's quite an expert on Sanskrit, he says in this, whenever right effort, right livelihood, right understanding is translated in that way, the word in Sanskrit, which is samma, really means total, all out, complete. Maybe this is what meant by perfect. Whole effort, with no gaps. Complete effort. Not right versus wrong. Right which has no opposite. Right effort directed in the right direction is necessary. If your effort is headed in the wrong direction, especially if you're not aware of this, it is deluded effort. Our effort in our practice should be directed from achievement to non-achievement. Which is what we were talking about yesterday or the day before. Can one not just keep on doing what one is doing all the time and has been doing in school and profession? Achieving, achieving, achieving. The right direction is to go from achievement to non-achievement. This often quoted saying by the Buddha, I attained nothing from complete enlightenment. This is why I call it complete enlightenment. Because I attained no thing. No thing. That's what nothing means. It doesn't mean I dropped into a vacuum. No thing means everything, but not separate from this separate feeling entity. Usually, Suzuki continues, usually when you do something, you want to achieve something, you attach to some result. You conceive of a goal, or you hear of some goal that is being described, and hey, that sounds good, I want that. That may do me whole bunches of good. So you come here and you want that result. Suzuki continues, from achievement to non-achievement means to be rid of the unnecessary and bad results of effort. To be rid of the unnecessary and bad results of effort. One of them he already named, pride. The other one is disappointment if one can't get it, despair about oneself. One's ineptness, one's inadequacy, which comes from comparison, which comes from judgment, which comes from our whole past, which we've talked about. Can we leave it? If even in the beginning, at moments of a time. See it and leave it. So there isn't this remote control by all of that. Wanting to achieve, wanting to attain, wanting a result, wanting to be good, wanting to be approved. Wanting. What is that? That tremendous force which has put us on the moon, leaving a flag there and a plaque. With the name of a president. On the moon. The epitome of achievement. Don't laugh. The same ambition is at least latent in all of us. Cannot be gotten rid of by strong arm methods. It must be seen when it comes up. If you do something in the spirit of non-achievement, there's a good quality in it. The spirit of non-achievement isn't, of course, a new image. The new image of being a non-achiever and therefore good. You must watch it. There are traps left and right. That's that tree, that's that mountain with swords lying. To walk, as the person said, delicately, carefully, attentively. Because there are pitfalls left and right. So just to do something without any particular effort is enough. Just to do something. But do it. Not just think about it. Or think while you're doing it how good it is that you're doing it. Do it. And can the doing be so consuming that you can't afford to think about it? That's what we do in crises. In a real crisis, people really work. They work with superhuman effort. Either to save their properties or to save human beings. Incredible feats are done in a moment of crisis when one is just totally involved and one sees what needs to be done and doesn't ruminate, should I go, should I? Oh, some people may do this and then become paralyzed in this inability to choose. When you make some special effort to achieve something, some excessive quality, some extra element is involved in it. You should get rid of excessive things. Or let's say, can you see them? Can they come into awareness? And that's the ending of them. Not any idea of what I should do. That is excessive baggage. We carry already enough of that. If your practice is good without being aware of it, you will become proud of your practice. That pride is extra. What you do is good, but something more is added to it. So you should get rid of that something which is extra. Well, we've talked about shoulds often enough. Can you? Is it possible? I'll see. I'll look. I won't look the other way when it comes up because it doesn't fit with my image, that I'm a humble person. This point is very, very important, says Suzuki, but usually we're not subtle enough to realize it and we go in the wrong direction. Subtlety is needed. Sometimes these things are subtle. Pride can be very subtle. The very show of humility is subtle pride. So it takes real honesty and a real urgency to take off all these false costumes and masks. To see what's there when they're not there, and to face the uneasiness, the nakedness. The not knowing who one really is without any images. If one can't tell, as one person says, then how can I tell that I exist? How is it when you can't tell? This is where you work. In that not being able to tell. This is really Zen work, to work in that. You could say it takes guts, but careful. You don't think first you have to develop guts. It's not a matter of developing them. You have them when you need to plumb this twilight area where you can't tell who you are. Without your comforting images, whether they are positive or negative. That's the amazing thing. It's not just positive images of oneself that are comforting. The negative ones are too. It's what we're used to. It's our habits that are comforting. They're protective in a false sense, and not protective because they keep us isolated. And in at times unendurable pain. Can one face that? Without any defense mechanism. Fully exposed. Vulnerable, sensitive, not knowing the result. Suzuki continues, because all of us are doing the same thing, making the same mistake, we do not realize it. So without realizing it, we're making many mistakes. And we create problems among us. This kind of bad effort is called being dharma-ridden or practice-ridden. You're involved in some idea of practice or attainment, and you cannot get out of it. When you're involved in some dualistic idea, it means your practice is not pure. The dualism meaning me and my eventual attainment, or enlightenment, kensha, breaking through, whatever you want to call it. There's a split there. There's dualism. By purity, we do not mean to polish something, trying to make some impure thing pure. By purity, we just mean things as they are. Nothing moralistic about this purity. Nothing in the usual ethical sense, which is relative. Ethics are relative most of the time. So are morals. What's moral and ethical in one society may be totally immoral and unethical in another. Purity means things as they are. As you look down that bridge, that clear water gushing over the stones, every stone is revealed, provided the water isn't muddy. Every form, shape, color. The little bubbles. Cluster of them. Little ones, bigger ones, all clustered together. You don't have to become romantic about it. It's there. It's revealed, it's clear, it's pure. Undistorted if there's no distortion in the looking, wanting to get something out of this. Maybe if I look long enough, I'll become enlightened. Then you don't see, then you only see your ideas. Of enlightenment, which is not enlightenment. By purity, we just mean things as they are. When something is added, that's impure. When something becomes dualistic, that is not pure. If you think you will get something from practicing Zazen, already you're involved in impure practice. People hear this. At times a sentence like this sticks. And it sort of grows in weight as one sits. Assumes, really, a very burdensome meaning. One thinks, well, what am I to do here then? What am I doing here then? I do have motives. I do want something. I do want to lead a better life. You start where you are. And you question where you are at the same time. Give everything the benefit of the doubt, the benefit of the questioning. Then you don't have to either accept it or reject it. You don't have to condemn it. You don't have to justify it. You question it. Right here now. In this practice purifies itself to the extent that things are questioned and seen. But the seeing also provides difficulties. One thinks one will see something. And that's usually meant intellectually. Well, at first one does see things intellectually. There's value to that. If you understand something intellectually, you have much greater chance of coming up upon it directly. And then it's no longer intellectual, it's a direct meeting up with it. And if you want to reflect further on it, it's all right. You can do anything you want to and need to do. Do find your limitations and do understand them. How far one can go with thinking. Don't just try to repress it because somebody said you must go beyond thinking. Suzuki continues, it is all right to say there is practice and there is enlightenment, but we should not be caught by the statement. You should not be tainted by it. When you practice Zazen, just practice Zazen. If enlightenment comes, it just comes. It's there. Where would it come from? They're still thinking if you say that. I'm not saying it. The author was thinking. Please don't quote me wrong. Also, was a lot of translating and editing taking place because obviously Suzuki's native language was Japanese. And as it is stated in the foreword, Japanese is much less a dualistic language than our Western languages. We should not attach to the attainment. The true quality of Zazen is always there, even if you're not aware of it. So forget all about what you think you may have gained from it. This is what is said to people who report about experiences of non-duality, of no division, maybe in the distant past, maybe during a sesshin. Sometimes they will ask, what's the meaning of this? The fact that they occurred is their meaning. What does one do with it is the important question. Is it lived fully? Of course, you can't even say that. There's no self-consciousness in this. Then, if one wants to think about it endlessly, remember it, or bring it back, try to figure out what did I do to bring this about, then one is already entrapped again in thoughts. And this instant escapes from one. It's there, but it's not noticed. So forget all about what you think you may have gained from it. Leave it. If the memory comes up, can you say no? I know it would be very pleasant, but no. It's a dead alley. It's just dreaming. So forget all about what you think you may have gained from it. Just do it, he says. Just do it. Which means just don't do it. Say no to the dream as it comes up. It's possible. And that's not repression. It comes out of seeing the whole thing, the whole scene, and what it leads to. And you will have no part of it. You will not live this way in dreams. The quality of Zazen will express itself. It'll express itself. It doesn't need your expression. That's a beautiful thing to say. Quality of Zazen will express itself. You can also say the quality of love will express itself. It doesn't need you to express it. People ask what it means to practice Zazen with no gaining idea. What kind of effort is necessary for that kind of practice? The answer is effort to get rid of something extra from our practice. Or the way we say here, effort to see the extra, to be aware of it, and not to fall for it. And that there's no me. This idea I must get rid of is very conducive to forming the image of me as the one who gets rid of things. Sort of There's a certain violence in this. I must get rid of that. If some extra idea comes, you should try to stop it. We talked about that. Say no to it. The pride, or the wanting to revel in it. Although, if you do want to revel, then revel for a while. There's no one who tells you not to do it. In the legend about the Buddha's enlightenment, it said for 7 times 7 weeks he reveled or enjoyed his enlightenment. Until, if I remember correctly, Brahma or some god reminded him gently that he better do something now. This may be a misquote, but something like this in the memory of that sort. Because there are different accounts. As many accounts as there are accounters. This one included. Changed it already again. Although, in the reveling is not a good word, I'm sure that wasn't used. Is there an enjoyer? If it is, then it's not enlightenment. And it's some dualistic state. Me and my bliss. And part of the reveling then consists in sort of thinking about this, how blissful this bliss is, and sort of reflecting. It's like, have you ever been in one of those mirror rooms where there's just endless mirrors? We had one in Buffalo once, in the museum. It was an incredible thing. Very simple structure from the outside. And inside it was nothing but mirrors. The walls, the ceiling, and the floor. There was no end to yourself there. From all directions and into all directions, you. They did ask you to leave your shoes outside. We're skipping a few paragraphs and say here, so try not to see something in particular. In Teisho, a lot of things are said about seeing. And if while this is said, you see something, then you see it. But don't mull over while you sit on the mat, what should I see now? Should I see or should I question? Question. Question is this doubt, this insecurity, this confusion. Question that. Seeing happens on its own, not because you will to do it. And questioning usually is dark and blind, not being able to tell. Yet if anger arises, you see that, don't you? Or use a different word for it. You notice it, you detect it. It's there. Can it be there without you condemning it or judging it or trying to escape from it? Question it. What is it? so that there's never the gap of conflict. So try not to see something in particular. Try not to achieve anything special. You already have everything in your own pure quality. If you understand this ultimate fact, there's no fear. One instant of no duality is one instant of no fear. One instant of no division, no separation, and no isolation is one instant of no fear. Because one is not, as one person said this morning, one is not a part. A part. A part. If you understand this ultimate fact, there's no fear. There may be difficulty, of course, but there's no fear. Or there may be pain, of course. But pain isn't pain. Don't call it that. Don't know it. Give it the benefit of the doubt, of the not knowing. Something may become unstuck. Or not. Don't expect anything. The expecting is the stuckness. If people have difficulty without being aware of the difficulty, that's true difficulty. They may appear very confident, they may think they're making a big effort in the right direction, but without knowing it, what they do comes out of fear. One may make an enormous effort on the basis of enormous fear. The effort being the escape from this enormous fear, rather than plunging into the fear. Not knowing what the outcome will be. Which is not wallowing, it's not reveling. And there's no masochism in this. It's not good for you. It's not bad for you. What is it? Yes? But if your effort is in the right direction, Suzuki says, then there's no fear of losing anything. There is no fear of losing anything when you're ready to lose everything. At least you're going to try it out. What it is like to lose everything. Human beings have explored just about everything. Nothing has held them back. So why not explore how it is to lose everything? Not by giving away your tape recorder and all your clothes except one shirt and one pair of trousers. Then you gain ideas about yourself. It comes up in practice, it comes up in sesshin, doesn't it? And if it doesn't come up, then don't say right now, why does it come up for others and not for me? It's again comparison. Just question this comparing or this doubting yourself. Do you see that there is no point where you can't work? If your effort is in the right direction, then there's no fear of losing anything. Even if it is in the wrong direction, if you're aware of that, you will not be deluded. Become aware of this grasping mind. If you see it honestly, then you will not be deluded. There's nothing to lose, says Suzuki. There's nothing to lose. There's only the constant, pure quality of right practice. What is it? I don't really know. We will end here for today.